Nick, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much.
This has got to be very exciting for you because anything alien, UFO, it was one of those things that only late night radio shows would talk about. And now it is in the forefront of the entire globe.
Yeah, it's on the front page of the national newspapers. It's being discussed in Congress. There are UFO provisions in the new defense bill. It's amazing. Out of the fringe and into the mainstream, for sure.
AlienCon is the first global connection with this. And I think it's so fascinating that everybody is starting to come together to continue the conversation. But my question is, though, who gets inside? Are we going to see sci-fi fans in there as well?
Yes, it's going to be a complete mix. I think you're going to see people who take a very nuts and bolts approach to this. They're very interested in the government side of things, the military sightings that we've been seeing, declassified videos, those U.S. Navy videos, for example, that have brought a lot of people into the subject. We're going to see people who are fascinated by the science that we see now being done, like NASA doing a study. Like Dr. Travis Taylor, who's going to be one of the people there, by the way, who did this for the Pentagon as their chief scientist. But absolutely, we're going to see science fiction fans who have come to this through shows like The X-Files and Star Trek. Yes. And it's going to be a mixture of good information, but fun too.
Well, Ancient Aliens on A&E, that was that one show that, if you were kind of geeky, that's where you went. I've been with Giorgio, and it's just amazing how everything is starting to take formation, and you're a major part of this, Nick.
Yes, and of course Giorgio Tsoukalos will be there at AlienCon too, of course. So that's going to be great. He's always popular. The guy with the hair. They all 1,000 internet memes were launched, and people, of course, love to get their photo taken with him. That's going to be, there's going to be photos and autographs. But yeah, this whole subject, Ancient Aliens has now run for well over 200 episodes, and people can't get enough of it because, as the catchphrase in the show says, could it be?
Yep.
And a lot of those ancient astronaut theorists again say yes.
Is there a new definition for UFOs? Because now we see a balloon, we think, oh my God, it's a UFO.
Well, the government over the last few years has rebranded this subject because there is this recognition that it's a serious defense and national security issue. They've tried to get away from the phrase UFO with all its pop culture baggage.
Yep.
And so what you find is that they tend to use the phrase UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. And though I say so myself, we did that. We didn't invent the term, but we adopted it in the Ministry of Defense in the UK in the 90s. And so when I was investigating UFOs for the British government, we did that, and the US government admitted recently that they borrowed that tactic from us Brits.
What is the big fascination? Is it just because it's a huge unanswered question or mystery?
Yes, I think that's exactly it. When you think of the huge philosophical questions we can ask ourselves as human beings, questions like, are we alone or not in the universe, and are we being visited, are some of the biggest and most profound, fascinating questions we can ask. And I think there's this real sense now that we might be closer than ever to getting an answer on that, whether it's something like the James Webb Space Telescope, whether it's artificial intelligence going through some of the huge amounts of data that we already have on this from the scientific community, or whether it's some breakthrough coming from ancient astronaut theory or UFO research. We don't know, but there's this sense, I think, that we're on the verge of something. And I think that's why AlienCon, there's such a buzz about it, because so many of the people involved in all of this, either for the government or in a private capacity, are all going to be together in the same place.
See, I keep waiting for Perseverance to bump into something up there on Mars, or that little helicopter up there going, uh-oh, something's here. Uh-oh, we just found it.
Well, that would be amazing. Just imagine, like like you see occasionally in Egypt. The sands shift and some statue emerges. Can you imagine that happening on Mars?
Yeah. And speaking of Egypt, that's one of the things that you're going to be covering with AlienCon is the fact that the Egyptian history and the mystery of the Mayans. I mean, this is not something that just started happening in the 1980s. I mean, this has been going on for centuries.
Yeah, absolutely. Cultures all around the world have these traditions of people coming from the skies and imparting knowledge and things, and then these ancient peoples constructed these amazing structures in sort of homage to these entities that were perceived as gods, and so you find it all around the world, and so a lot of people who come to AlienCon, I think, are fascinated by sites like the pyramids, of course, but like Stonehenge and Angkor Wat and Pumapunku and all that, and all the people, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Childress, William Henry, all those experts will be there.
Have you yourself been over there to the Skinwalker Ranch? Because when I first started watching that documentary, of course, I was a naysayer, but the more and more I got into that story, I was like, oh my God, something's happening here.
I have not been yet. I suspect that I will at some point, whether I go down there with Ancient Aliens or whether I go as a guest on the other show, The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Now, of course, one of the big names at AlienCon is going to be Dr. Travis Taylor, who's one of the lead people that you see about that. And what I think a lot of people still don't quite realize about him is not only is he on Ancient Aliens and The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, but it was revealed by the Department of Defense public affairs folks a few months ago that he had actually been serving as the chief scientist to the Pentagon's UAP task force. So when you see him on those shows, it's you know that you're getting someone who did it for the government. And the other big story, by the way, is that Jay Stratton will be making his first public appearance at AlienCon. Jay Stratton was the former senior intelligence officer. Now, he was a civilian, but he had the equivalent rank of a 2-star admiral. So really senior intelligence guy. And he headed up the DOD's UAP task force. He will be at AlienCon. So people are getting, I mean, this is unprecedented. People are getting the inside track onto what the government was doing with all this. So AlienCon bridges the ancient, all the fascination with Egypt and the Mayans and the Incas and the Toltecs and the Olmecs and all those peoples with the modern, with everything that's exciting Congress right now. I'd
love to be a fly on the wall when this information comes to you, because when you start hearing about government officials stepping in and releasing what they've done through their studies and stuff like that, you seem to be the type of person that sits back in their chair, crosses their arms and says, really, let's watch where this is going to go. This is a new door that's been opened.
It is, absolutely. And I'm doing a lot of different things at AlienCon. I am presenting a couple of sessions myself, one talking about my UK government work on this, one a much more speculative and fun session about the societal impact of making open contact. But one of the things I'm most looking forward to is moderating an exclusive discussion with Jay Stratton and Dr. Travis Taylor. So my goodness, people will get a peek behind the curtain, I think.
Do you think most UAPs want to be spotted? It's like, look at me, take that snapshot. Okay, go do your homework now.
Well, it's interesting, and at the same time, it's kind of confusing too, because of course, most of these things turn out to have conventional explanations. They're misidentifications. Now, sometimes those conventional explanations are really interesting themselves. For example, people who might see some sort of secret prototype aircraft or drone long before it's publicly revealed, just because they happen to be in the right place at the right time. Now, if we're talking about what if some of these are probes or maybe even crewed ships from another civilization, then that's interesting. Are they being covert and we're just accidentally getting a glimpse, or are they deliberately showing themselves? Maybe there's an idea that you slowly get these humans used to it, and then suddenly, bang, landing on the White House lawn.
Speaking of those ships, let's just say that a UAP comes in. There is an alien. You yourself, do you look at that as being an ancient astronaut, or because it's so new to us and they must be a true explorer?
I would say the former, but that's the great thing about this. Nobody has a monopoly on the truth. There are a lot of different theories in the mix here, and so everyone at AlienCon has their different perspectives on this. There are many ancient astronaut theorists there who would probably go with your first answer. My gut feeling would be to go with the second, but we won't know for sure until it actually unfolds, and then we'll see.
I think one of the things that kind of scared me over the past couple of weeks was, let's just say that a UAP comes in, and it just really bothered me that it took no time at all for these jet fighters to go out there and blow the darn thing up. It's like, wow, we didn't even give this thing a chance.
Yeah, I think that the government probably knows far more about this than it's saying in public. And so, for example, when we've had these reports to Congress, and we've had two now, there's been an unclassified version, which the media and the public have seen. And there's been a classified version too. We've got a few hints about that, but obviously not much. So I think we can probably rest assured that we're not inadvertently going to start an interstellar war here by shooting down something that's crude, shall we say. I think because the use of lethal force is always a last option, I think they were probably pretty sure what it was, and certainly what it wasn't.
Yeah. You've been selected to speak at AlienCon. How do you build that message with the knowledge that you've got?
Well, I think carefully. Obviously, to some extent, I do have to bear in mind that as a former government employee, I'm still bound by my secrecy oath, and I have to give. It's a fine balance. You want to give people an inside glimpse of how we view this subject from within government and how we handle it and what our best current assessments are. But clearly none of us, at least the government people who are going to be at AlienCon, none of us are going to disclose classified information that would harm the nation. I mean, one of the reasons I can talk about this is that the UK government has declassified and released a lot of files, many of which I wrote. And I know that Jay Stratton and Dr. Travis Taylor are in a similar situation. I mean, for example, those US Navy videos, they are on the Department of Defense website, for example. Now, that doesn't mean that insiders can't perhaps give you that glimpse behind the curtain, and so I think, but it is a balancing act.
Wow. You bring up a very interesting question in the way of with your connections to the government and you're sworn to secrecy. Do you not fear what's been going on here in the States in the way that, oh my God, I didn't realize I had secret material in my house. I just thought it was just mine.
No, I think I've seen those stories, of course, in the news about classified documents turning up here and there.
Yeah.
I was always extremely careful. When I was working at the Ministry of Defense, I don't think I ever even took classified documents home. I was very careful, and they went in the safe overnight.
So I got to ask you, only because I'm here in North Carolina, and we always read these stories about UAPs being discovered up there in the sky. Why North Carolina? What is going on with our skies?
The short answer is I don't know, but some areas, whether it's a state or a region within a state, for some reason that people can't discern, some areas do turn out to be UFO hotspots. Now, the last one I mentioned, these Office of the Director of National Intelligence assessments that had gone to Congress, they talked about that a little bit. And they said sometimes it could be collection bias. If a particular area, for example, has a lot of military bases, and other sensitive installations, sometimes those areas are more heavily surveilled. So, but it's a really interesting question you ask, and the answer to it is the government is right now trying to figure out at these hotspots whether there's something to them or not.
Do you ever get to be a regular person and travel out to a place like Montana, which is the big sky country? You lay on your back in the middle of the night and you stare at that sky and you feel like you are a member of space.
Oh, I feel that we're in it. We're absolutely. And then when I see those wonderful images coming in from the James Webb Space Telescope, it just shows you how expansive and literally awesome the universe is. And you see all of that and you think it can't just be us. Come on, man.
Yeah, because when I see those photos, I swear I feel smaller and smaller every day. It's like, oh boy, I'm not even a mustard seed anymore. My God, look at what's out there.
Yeah, we're going to be we are just a tiny speck in this infinite cosmos, and every time you look at it, you think, what's out there? And I think at AlienCon, we're going to be addressing some of that and maybe, helping people come to some answers.
I can't imagine what your anxiety does when you go to AlienCon, because when you how do you mentally and physically prepare before you walk into that room and people start recognizing you? You've got to be able to go through so many mental changes.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's a friendly audience.
Yeah.
We are brought together, whether it's the attendees or the speakers. We are brought together by our shared passion for this subject and our shared journey together on this quest to find out what's out there. So I don't see there being this divide between the presenters and the audience. We are all in this together.
The website for AlienCon, is it going to include, because not everybody can travel to the physical event, but yet because of modern day technology, they've been putting it up on websites so everybody can pay the money and you can attend it via something like Zoom or something like that. Are you guys going to be doing something like that?
Well, the website is the aliencon.com. I'm not sure that this is going to be streamed. People can look at the website and see what's available. But I think like a lot of these fan conventions, this is a live event where people can come and actually meet the people face to face. But the full details of what's available are on the website, and people can just see what the options are.
Now, because you're such a big part of it, Nick, is there a side of you that sits there and goes, okay, I've seen what's happened at Comic-Con and things like that, where it seems like every city and every state has got to have their own version. Does this scare you that they're going to thin it out and bring in not necessarily real experts, but those that say they did experience something?
Well, who knows? Maybe some of those people really did. I'm not for kind of shutting out voices. And I think the more people that we bring into this and the more information we get, and people can assess that data themselves, and they can pick and choose what interests them. And I think that's the key message here. There is something for everyone, whether you're interested in ancient astronaut theory, Roswell, abductions, or these U.S. Navy videos and what's going on in Congress. There will be someone at the AlienCon speaking to that very issue.
Man, I'll tell you, I heard one of the greatest quotes yesterday, and I think this fits into your lifestyle as well, is Jane Fonda says she's not afraid of going to the next transition level where she's going to pass, but her biggest fear is her regrets. With all that you have learned, what is the one thing that you keep yourself from not doing yet?
I don't know. Maybe I should go out on more sky watches, because I think a lot of time as a government UFO investigator, I'm looking at other people's sightings, but I haven't had one yet myself. It's not fair. So maybe I should get out there more. Wow.
Dude, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations on AlienCon. I know it's going to be very successful, and I know that people's lives are going to continue to change. And you're one of the Beatles. You're one of the people that's changing people's lives right with us.
Well, thank you.
Will you be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Thank you. You too. It's been great to talk.